So I had to put it down, and I gotta condense the mic. I have no idea what I'm doing. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Today, I'll be covering Stalker, Shadow of the Nova. Actually, I love how we review all of the Stalker games at once. And the novel this universe is based on Redemption, the World Tide System. Stalker's premise is very simple. The players of the latest Stalker is going to a fenced-off exclusion zone in Chernobyl, Ukraine, which is actually based on a fictional country here in Europe. It's a legendary series of nuclear nation of Ukraine produces to the bootleg cigarette and crosses the slip on in Europe today. But everyone knows this is just a fairy tale. However, in this world, there was no nuclear meltdown nor any subsequent cover-up by using valid and natural Soviet Union. Instead of nuclear fallout, we have an expanding circle of land where the laws of physics don't apply. So all matter of strange anomalies and included wildlife that was killed flying in country. No one knows. Thousands of men killing hundreds of insects and deforming what makes your ideology any different than claims they want to continue. Others study more than from the outside world. In truth, there is no single rational answer. We have no reason to be here. But when wrong with fascinated by it is afraid of it, but no matter what, we can't resist its siren call. Welcome to today. While the game is more than a quality song, the zone represents our game, which is often filled with the envelope, our beliefs and our darkest desires. We live in a zone spread throughout our planet, often using weird events and bizarre artifacts that defy our understanding into harm everyone's imagination, and of course, a promise of treasure beyond the wildest dreams. Stalker is like the discovery of a new world. Everyone wants to go out into the great unknown and get smallpox to the asshole, and maybe even leave behind several dozen illegitimate infant children with no lack of father. The success reminding you that being a donor dad isn't cool, even if your son is a subtle and hideous abomination and an insult to God's earth. It's responsibility you take yourself. As the gameplay itself is a sandbox survival shooter, and it plays very tightly for a shooter. Most of the time, it's really good. When you're not shooting, you'll be exploring and investigating the world, avoiding anomalies and trying to get those sweet artifacts that justify the health rate. The zone has its own black market economy of selling artifacts back to governments, research groups, and private collectors. Sadly, you're at the bottom end of this lucrative pipeline. You're like a cocaine farmer in Colombia. Your life is short, miserable, and underpaid, and you're easily replaceable. The average artifact typically goes for about $20 in the black market, barely enough to restock your ammunition and buy some typical Slavic cuisine, canned tuna, kielbasa, and stale bread, and of course, Monster Energy Zero Ultra. Speaking USSR, drink of choice. For added immersion, I recommend eating Stalker cuisine in real life. Luckily, my house has all of the aforementioned dishes. My bread is just a little bit more fragrant than the zone. For even more immersion, you can try going outside. Who knows what sort of artifact lookalikes you'll find. Oh look, a gravy, and here's a stone blood, and here's a used hypodermic needle. These only appear in the extremely rare Junkie Crack Den anomaly. How curious. For Westerners, Stalker is a game about surviving a harsh, unforgiving place where there's no one to help or rescue you, human contact is limited, and you're left isolated from the outside world. For Slavs, Stalker is a simulation of everyday life, surviving a harsh, unforgiving place where there's no one to help or rescue you, human contact is limited, and you're left isolated from the outside world. How accurate you want the simulation to be is based on the difficulty you pick. Ah yes, the 4 genders: Rookie, Stalker, Veteran, and Master. Lowering the difficulty results in more mutations in the people, as they develop genetic adaptations to bullet fire and employment. For this reason, it's completely fine to learn the game on Stalker difficulty, but if you find that firefights take too long, I recommend bumping it up to Master. It's a strange way to do difficulty, but it makes sense once you're comfortable with the mechanics. If you're
you're interested in playing all the games, the natural order would be Shadow of Chernobyl, Call of Pripyat, and then Clear Skies. If you only have time for one of them, play Pripyat. If you want even more, install Call of Chernobyl. It links every game map, and you can play as any faction, including bandits. It also removes almost all English voice acting from the game, which is far more fitting to the atmosphere, as there's many words to describe the average Russian, and bilingual is not one of them. Despite how hostile the zone is, it can also be quite comfy. Sitting around a campfire with other stalkers and listening to them play guitar and tell jokes in Russian is a very pleasant and homey experience, and gives you temporary relief from the choking isolation and dread you'll feel everywhere else. Admittedly though, bandit camps have some of the best music. Unsurprisingly, this game is pretty fucking spooky at times. The mutants of the zone grunt, squeal, and lunge at you with a moment's notice, and they have a habit of doing it whenever your guard is down. Luckily, some of the most dangerous mutants are extremely rare.
In a perfect world, men like me would not exist. But this is not a perfect world.
But surviving an encounter with one of them will leave you shaken and traumatized. Call of Pripyat is the most developed of the free titles. Hunting for artifacts becomes more than just platforming and throwing screws at vibrating pockets of air. You now have different devices to help you spot and locate artifacts invisible to the human eye, which now also appear inside and around the formation of different anomalies. One wrong move and you'll be torn apart, shocked, or incinerated. Luckily, some of the anomalies are much more benign and harmless than others.
Mark 1! What the hell?
In Call of Pripyat, they also added emissions. Emissions exist to make you shit your pants and disrupt whatever plans you had. These are incredibly violent energy storms originating from the Chernobyl National Power Plant. And if you receive a warning that a blowout's about to happen, you better get the fuck inside unless you want to die a horrible, horrible death. Anything and anyone who can't get to cover on time will be fried to a crisp, and that's if you're lucky. For those who weren't so lucky, they'll get back up and continue their routine as a hollow, unresponsive husk. The anomalies described in the book are much less forgiving. Accidentally rub against a transparent strand of web, you'll die from a heart attack hours later. Were you near the zone when the visitors came, you're forbidden from ever leaving, and you'll be shot on sight if you dare try, because whatever city you'll go to will be devastated by natural disasters until you die. The games in the book also diverge heavily in plot, since in Strugatsky's Roadside Picnic, the title of the book says it all. Visitors stopped by our world and left as quickly as they arrived, leaving behind their trash and waste, the remains of a messy picnic. But their trash is our treasure. Everything in the zone is fantastical and beyond our comprehension. Room temperature superconductors, invasive species of cotton which exclusively grow on metal surfaces, and infinite batteries which asexually reproduce are just some of the wonders left by the visitors, who are so impossibly more advanced than us that we couldn't even catch a glimpse of what they are. In Stalker, the zone is a man-made disaster through some psychic pseudoscience bullshit, which I honestly suspect is just an excuse to make you go through the worst linear sections of the game, because Ivan spent a lot of time making those 3D models, and by God, you're gonna appreciate it. To summarize briefly, a bunch of scientists merged their brains together to form the Sea Consciousness, a superior consciousness capable of changing the planet's novosphere, an informational field surrounding Earth, in order to remove negative emotions like anger, greed, and being a foot fetishist. Their interference spawned the zone, which has been expanding ever since. To make matters worse, their efforts backfired. Foot fetishes were instead replaced by scat, and that extremely specific category of porn where the camera keeps zooming in to the guy's taint. Realizing what evil they've unleashed on the world, the scientists are now actively trying to contain the zone. In Shadow of Chernobyl, you can either help or kill them. In Clear Skies, you get brainwashed by them. In Call of Pripyat, you meet Strelok from the first game, and after he tells you that, canonically, he kind of killed the scientists and there's nothing to contain the zone anymore, everyone realizes it's time to get the fuck out of here. The ending section of each Stalker game universally sucks dick. Holy shit, let me go through narrow corridors where everyone is armed with futuristic hit-scan energy weapons that kill you if they hug your little toe. Hey, you can also keep replaying dialogue from the Wish Granter on repeat every few seconds. What an amazing, unforgettable experience, which I wish I never had. Once you reach the Chernobyl National Power Plant, do yourself a favor and format your hard drive, because that's going to be a much more fun experience than anything still in store for you. And while the rest of the game is universally enjoyable, there is one exception. Clear Skies. Most people abandon Clear Skies because it probably has the worst introduction to any game ever made. You start the game and get dumped in a shitty swamp, equipped with guns that can shoot for 3 meters before the bullets enter another quantum reality and vanish forever. At some point, you'll have to leave a shitty swamp. You might be tempted to fight the 2-3 billion bandits that procreate in the warehouses. You might even be tempted to take the exit shown on the map. Both of those will result in your death. Taking the indicated exit will put you right next to a military cordon where a machine gun will shred you to pieces.